Good morning, Pallet Town. Today, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite bedtime stories that my dad used to tell me. Now, just to warn you, I don't know the whole thing because I usually fell asleep while listening to it, but I'll try to fill in the missing gaps the best I can. The Trimat Dalai Lama. Chapter 1. Clitopher the Nice. Nice. Clitopher the Nice. He's very nice, yeah. Once upon a time, there was a nobleman. His name was Clitopher. He had lots of land. His horse of 12 years was called Bones, and he had a pup named Ozzy, and it was the cutest, most dominant pup in all the land. The evil Dark Lord Trunkles cast a dark spell on Ozzy and trapped him in the evil Tower Zors. This pissed the frickin' hell out of Clitopher, so he gathered up his most loyal companions and set off on their quest. These mighty warriors were called Ash the Great, Brock the Grand, and Schmitty the Greedy. You thought I was gonna say flat chest, didn't you? Admit it, you thought? Okay, anyways, together they formed the unstoppable force, the Trimat Dalai Lama. Each of the warriors had a special weapon that aided him during battle so that they could dome people. Ash the Great used his grassland skills to wield a mighty sledgehammer. Brock used his Korean skills to wield a bow and arrow. And Schmitty used his Mormon skills to wield a seagull. Chapter 2. The journey begins. The bond ship of the four set out on their epic journey on a foggy, rainy morning. Each set out on a horse, steed, or pony. The first stop was in the land of Pallet, which was just 2 miles away. As they rode through the dark forest, Brock couldn't see very well because his eyes were extremely slanty, which was his weakness. However, his eyes were keen because of his Korean instincts. They made it to Pallet in a swift 36 minutes and were quite pleased. While they were resupplying their food stock in the market, Schmitty the Greedy wandered to a nearby diamond store. He stole all the diamonds and used them to buy up all the food in the land, and which affected the peasants greatly. They could not feed themselves, and therefore the land entered into a shortage of food and money. But Schmitty didn't give a shit because he was so fucking greedy. Away! Quickly to the gatehouse before it closes! Schmitty, get your greedy ass over here, Clitopher yelled. Clitopher on his steed, Brock on his pony, and Ash on his horse. All the while, Schmitty was riding off on a stolen llama. They were followed off by a pissed-off crowd of Pallet Town peasants, who were trying to kill Schmitty. Chapter 2b. The Pissed Run. The Pallet Town peasants ran as swiftly as they could, but Ash grabbed Schmitty by the scruff of the neck and pulled him onto his horse before he could get raped by the rakish crowd. Together they outran the mob and set up that night's camp on a raft in a nearby bog 7 miles down the road. Together the men of the swamp, the Hortonites, decided to attack the Trimat Dalai Lama. Together with their massive numbers, mostly females, the Hortonites laid upon our heroes a surprise ambush attack. They surrounded our heroes with sexual temptations of their bodies, but the manly men would not give up that easily. Brock grabbed his bow, Ash his hammer, and Schmitty his seagull, and then Clitopher his sword of justice, and they decided to demolish these feeble foes. Schmitty's seagull went on patrol the rest of the night while our heroes slept. Chapter 3. The Drifting Bog. Brock is abruptly wakened by the squawking seagull. What the hell? Shut the f*** up! Then Brock noticed something. It turned out to be a walrus. However, Brock's mighty bow could not penetrate the fat. Brock called the seagull to combat the mighty walrus. Unfortunately, the seagull would only listen to Schmitty, so nothing happened. And the walrus kidnapped Brock. Brock was dragged into the prison bog, and in the recesses of the chamber lay a beautiful, kidnapped, flat-chested woman. Brock, being the gentleman that he was, promised Flat-Chest, the beautiful woman, that he would rescue her if he ever became free. There's no escape! The walrus is fattening us up for the Hortonite feast! There's gonna be Asian food, Brock! You! Asian food! Oh, shit! Meanwhile, back at camp, Ash woke to find a trail of hot Cheetos leading off into the bog. He quickly woke the others. They thought for a while whether they wanted to try to find Brock or leave him to his doom, because the pup was much more important. However, learning that Flatchest was kidnapped by a mysterious walrus, Ash convinced the others to try to rescue him, and that if Brock happened to die, it wouldn't really matter. The three heroes gathered their things, ate breakfast, had some tea, then trekked through the bog. "Are we tracking a slug?" said Clitifer. "No, just a really fat walrus," Schmitty replied. Suddenly, Schmitty's seagull flew down and squawked Brock's location at Schmitty. Schmitty, the only one able to understand Seagulish, translated it to the group. "Onward!" Clitifer cried. Chapter 4. The Depth of the Bogus Jail. About 71 minutes later, the epic trio arrived at the Bogus jail, just as the blood-red sun was setting in the west. "Blood has been spilled this night," Brock thought. "Quit taking things from Lord of the Rings," Ash replied. Schmitty the Greedy led the way, but was soon overpowered by a surprise attack by the walrus because he bore no real weapon. But Clitifer and his mighty sword of justice, they saved Schmitty and cut through the heart of the walrus. Ash took up his mighty sledgehammer and smashed the walrus' massive dong, which f***ed him up big time. Schmitty's seagull pecked out the walrus's eyes, and he was utterly destroyed. Back at the prison, "Come on, I don't want to die without a virgin record collection," begged Brock. The Trimat Dalai Lama burst through the prison doors and rescued the two slaves. Everyone embraced each other in a fantastic man-witch hug, with Flatchest in between. Clitifer then tossed Flatchest a short dagger called the Castrator. Chapter 5. The Fellowship Grows. As they left the bog, they came upon a river. The water was dirty. There were frogs, kind of like a moving bog. "Wait! We've been here before!" "Shut up, woman!" demanded Schmitty. They've stopped to take a piss in the bog, and to their surprise, Flatchest stood as she urinated. "What the f***?" Clitifer then decided that taking a boat downstream would be the most efficient action. So he constructed a raft out of twigs from a nearby George bush. The rapids were fierce. They almost tipped twice. Every human and beast survived the dangerous voyage, although Brock lost a pinky. Fortunately, the next town had a witch that could hopefully heal the damage. The town was called Saffron City. There resided a powerful, beautiful witch that could heal anything for massive amounts of diamonds. Fortunately, Schmitty had lots of diamonds, so Brock was healed. But then, Schmitty the Greedy's old habits got the best of him, and he stole the witch's heart. Literally. She had it hanging by the door, and he just took it. And he put it in his pocket to save for later. Chapter 6. The Heart of Gold. Having ditched Flatchest in Saffron City, the Trimat Dalai Lama plus Clitifer continued their journey. They were suddenly attacked by a group of assassins who were sent by a mysterious evil dude. In fact, they learned that his name was the Mysterious Evil Dudeson. The assassin pulled out their blowguns and began to blow like they'd never blown before. That's what she said. Boink! A dart hit Schmitty the Greedy, who fell on the ground, temporarily paralyzed. Unfortunately, Brock didn't have any paralyzed heels, so he was just doomed for the moment being. Ash and Brock prepared for battle as Bones the steed tended to Schmitty's paralyzed body. Ash's mighty hammer struck the ground and shook the foundations of the earth. The assassins were all frozen with fear, and they stood for 8 seconds, which was plenty of time for Clitifer to stab each of them from behind with his mighty sword of justice. They dropped to the ground with blood spilling from their rectums. Then the heroes casually tossed Schmitty onto Bones, and they continued their journey down the path. Clitifer then checked the assassins' weirdly deep butts for treasure and found a heart of gold. Heart meaning lots, and gold meaning poop. Chapter 7. The Vermidian Forest. The group continued their journey for another day before they reached the wretched place called the Vermidian Forest. The trees were high, and the moat of urine and feces was deep. But nonetheless, the bug catchers that were in the forest welcomed Clitifer with open arms. The Trimat Dalai Lama was completely ignored. The bug catchers seemed like a good bunch, but were in fact corrupt, evil kilt-wearing men. It didn't take long for Clitifer's brilliant mind to discover the true intentions of the bug catchers, which was to kill them and steal their leg-covering garments. Fortunately for our heroes, it happened to be the season of battle for the bug catchers against their rivals, the Sons of Pallet. Clitifer, however, chose to side with the Sons of Pallet, so he challenged the bug catcher's strongest fighter to mortal combat, who was a giant kilt-wearing ogre man. He was known as Goliath. Clitterford took a tiny pebble out of his sleek underpants and hurled it at Goliath's wanker. To everyone's surprise, Clitterford fell down with a mysterious exhaustion. So with Clitterford and Schmitty the Greedy down, Ash and Brock needed to finish off Goliath. Brock took out his bow and decided to shoot Goliath in the f***ing dome piece, but Schmitty's seagull prevented that from happening because it got in the way and was shot. The seagull fell to the ground dead. Please tune in next time for the conclusion to this exciting story.